All right. Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a very enjoyable weekend and you were able to spend some quality time with family and friends. So we're back in business today, ladies and gentlemen. And we have the lovely Shelby here with us today. Hi. And we're going to talk about when birth plans don't go according to your plan. You know, a lot of people that are choosing to do an out-of-hospital birth, or in-hospital birth too, right? We write down birth plans and we have our birth wishes and we dream about it and we plan it, right? And all through your whole pregnancy, and you have this idea of how you want to bring your baby into the world. Whether you're choosing to birth in hospital, out of hospital, in your home, in a birth center, with an epidural, without an epidural, whatever those choices are, you generally put a lot of thought into how you want this special day to happen. And as we know, we can have all these ideas and plans, but it doesn't always work out that way. Right? It doesn't always work out that way. So Shelby's going to talk about her experience, and so it started with choosing to birth out of hospital and being a first-time mom.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. What happened?
I mean, the choice to choose out of hospital was very what should I say? Real for me. I just wanted to do it in the safest way, and I wanted to my baby to come in the most natural way. Right. And so I had planned and you know, did all my research. I found Renee. She's the best. And so we went through our care, and I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. I did everything I am supposed to do. I walked, I ate good, I took all my vitamins.
Did great.
I did great.
You did all the things you're supposed to do.
Everything I was supposed to do.
And birth in our culture, it's like, well, if you do all the things,
then you'll have the birth that you want to have.
Yes.
When it's not up to you.
It's not up to you.
But I did, every appointment went great.
Yeah.
You know, there were
really
no
uneventful pregnancy. Totally low, like easy peasy in terms of pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super easy. So I went into labor. Everything that happened how it's supposed to happen, the mucus plug, the contractions. I mean, except for I had really bad diarrhea, so I didn't know I was in labor.
Yeah, which was so fascinating, actually. We were talking on the phone. I was driving. I remember exactly where I was. I was driving down one of the streets here. I was about to get on the freeway. I was going somewhere. I was literally about to get on the freeway, and I was stopped at a red light, and I was like, I don't know, you sound like you're in labor.
Yeah.
I think you need to come in. And I did a U-turn and came back to the birth center. My husband was in the car. Did a U-turn, came back to the birth center.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that was happening because I thought it was just the diarrhea pains. But no, and it was funny because my husband was just like, I think we need to call Renee. Like, I don't think it's diarrhea anymore. And I was just like, okay, fine.
I'm going to interrupt though. How many weeks pregnant were you?
41 and...
41 weeks?
Oh, no. Yeah, just 41.
41 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 41. And then...
but leading up to this, I wasn't so sure you were going to go into labor. Because remember how his head was presenting.
Oh, yeah.
Really,
so he was posterior and he was off.
Like coming into your
side.
hip.
Yeah.
And way high.
Yeah,
so
he was super high.
Really concerned about this baby. You know, we talk a lot about optimal fetal positioning, and he was just funky. And I really wasn't sure if he would actually come into the pelvis.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually think, I was concerned that she wouldn't go into labor because you often need the head applying pressure to the cervix, right? As the baby comes into the pelvis, it applies pressure to the cervix.
Right.
Then we have contractions, the baby descends, dilation, baby.
So funny part, we get to the birth center and there's no head. I'm 9 centimeters.
Although clearly he has a head.
A big head. I'm 9 centimeters.
9 centimeters,
but there's
folks.
no head.
Totally high, floating out of the pelvis. But she was 9. And you didn't even think you were in labor. You thought you were just having gastrointestinal
Yeah.
cramping, which is kind of remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, I was totally fine. I was dealing with the contractions, like, maybe because I didn't know they were contractions.
Because I think you did start with gastro issues the day before, right? Is that what it was? Or through the night or something?
No, I took the calm calcium.
Extra calm calcium, calcium, magnesium.
Because I felt like, just like light cramping, and I was just like, oh, well, let me not get excited. Let me just take some extra calm calcium and go to sleep. So I took the extra, and then I was... And
had crampy irritation from that. So did have some gastro issues that ultimately did progress into labor.
And so we get here, they checked me.
And the head was very high out of the pelvis, and there was a bulging bag of water. And I had some concerns about the safety of continuing to stay here out of hospital, because sometimes when the head is very high and there's this bag of water, if the bag breaks, there's potential for what's called a prolapsed cord, or something can prolapse when the head is so high. And my big concern was that that bag would break and the baby's cord would come in front of the baby's head and we would have an emergency. I was very concerned about that. So... I thought it would be a good idea to go to the hospital.
She did, and it was kind of, it all happened kind of fast. I was laboring, I was in the tub, I was fine, like you. I was I thought, I was like, I'm doing so great. And then because it's a mindset thing, right? So once she said we're going to the hospital, my mindset just switched, and all of a sudden I was in so much pain, and I just felt like, great, this is not going to happen the way I wanted it to. So I would definitely say, keep your mindset strong, even if you do have to be transported to the hospital.
Yeah, this was an interesting situation too, because if we transport to the hospital, it's usually the mother that says, I need to go in. And 9% of our families here will transport to the hospital in a non-emergent way. That's statistically, we've had the same statistics for as long as we've been keeping statistics. And 99.99% of the time, it's the mom saying, I'm done, I want to go in. Rarely is it the midwife saying, this doesn't feel safe, we need to go in. And so that was a really unique situation of, like, you were fine. And probably not really liking the idea that I thought we should go in. Fair.
But I listened. I didn't fight her.
You did listen. But fair enough, because it's like, well, why? Everything seems great.
It did. Everything was going great. So we get to the hospital. I kind of get my mindset back, but it's very hard because it's very chaotic in the hospital. So it's like everybody's in and out, and Renee's trying to keep me calm. My husband's trying to keep me calm. And so luckily the hospital was great.
And we had a great doctor. It wasn't our regular guy. It was a wonderful doctor that was there. She's terrific. We're really happy to get her.
Mission, where did I have
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross.
Providence Holy Cross.
Providence Holy Cross. Great hospital, great nurses, just great staff. So we labored some more. We labored on the toilet, on the ball.
Your water broke.
By accident. The doctor.
Doctor was checking, and I'm not sure if it was by accident.
Really?
I think actually I think she intentionally broke the bag because the head was so high and floating. We were concerned that it would spontaneously break and there would be a prolapse.
Okay.
So what the doctor decided to do, which was a good choice, was to control the break the bag, but keep her hand in to help control the head and be aware if anything prolapsed.
Okay.
And so I was like, I really was. I was like, okay. And she was like, just ease the baby, and there was no prolapse, and it was good. But he really never came in.
He still never came in after all the contractions, all the laboring. I was pushing.
It was.
He never.
You were in the bed and out of bed. You were on the ball.
You were rotating and rotating, like nothing helped.
But then you got an epidural.
Then I got an epidural. He still didn't move.
He
still didn't.
But you tried. Even once we transported, you were on the toilet, you were on the ball, you were standing next to the bed, you were doing all kinds of double hip squeezes and all the things that you do.
But so I got an epidural. I slept through the night. They came and rotated me every hour. He never moved.
Did you get past 9?
No, I didn't. I didn't
9.
get back.
Got to 9 though. Amazing. That got to 9 without the head there.
Yeah. So just imagine if
And
next
pushed.
time it pushed. And so we woke up the next morning. The doctor had me push some more, and he's just like,
not happening.
Then that was when the Bandles. Am I saying it right?
Bandles.
Bandles.
That's what Bandles ring. There was an anticipation or a concern. So sometimes with a prolonged labor and pushing, kind of a dysfunctional labor pattern, there's a very rare condition. It's called a Bandles ring. And was at that point, did our regular OB come on board?
It was a regular.
There was a concern given the shape of the belly and that there's something called the Bandles ring, which is like the lower segment of the uterus starts to kind of clamp down. And there's a concern that it sort of, it's kind of technical, but it can be a very complicated surgical delivery, and the baby can't come through vaginally, but it's also can be a complication for the C-section.
Yeah, so that's why he was like, let's just do the C-section now. The baby's fine, heart rate great, blood, whatever, all that medical
Everything
stuff.
was good.
Everything was great. But he just wouldn't move. It was like every contraction, he just went further and further up instead
which is
of
the
down.
concern. Like when there's this Bandles ring, it constricts down here, so the baby cannot descend. It's almost like the shoulder is stuck behind this big rubber band, and it can't move down.
Yeah.
Which is when you then go in for the surgical, you have to cut either, not a surgeon, but I think you either have to cut below the ring or above the ring. Because then you have to get the shoulders. It's a complicated delivery.
Yeah. So, but thank God the baby came. He's
and
here.
you didn't have the Bandles ring, correct?
No, I didn't. But he didn't want one to form.
Okay.
So that's why he was like, let's go.
Let's do this.
So I do remember feeling disappointed. But once he's here, I felt so relieved. Just that my baby's here, he's healthy, he's happy, he's doing great. Everybody was fine.
Yeah.
And then when you go home, he's so enjoying it.
He really enjoys it.
I do remember feeling disappointed that it didn't go as planned. But I think that's why it's important to plan for anything, and just be prepared for anything, and just have a goal of getting your baby here and having a emotional goal for yourself and staying strong mindset wise and staying grounded in what you are believing and just getting your baby here. So yeah.
How about your partner? How was his? Is he traumatized from it?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing.
So he traumatized.
Yeah.
He was. He's funny. He was saying
he's a very sensitive guy. He's an awesome man. Yeah.
But he was just like, when they were doing the surgery, he was just like, they were just talking about what they have for breakfast, and I was like, oh, wait, my wife is here. Don't let anything happen to her. I don't want to hear about your Cheerios.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's like the movies. How you hear about that all the time when they're like talking about their golf game over surgery. Yeah. Wow.
But he was traumatized, but he obviously his body didn't go through it or anything, so he recovered a lot sooner than I did. But yeah, I think with a lot of prayer, a lot of counseling too, I was able to get through it and past it, and I'll be even more prepared for the next time.
Yeah.
Because we still plan on going the same route with Renee. So you
would choose an out-of-hospital birth again?
Totally 100% again.
Not everybody does choose an out-of-hospital birth again after a transport situation. There's the cost element.
Yeah.
Not great. So you're paying for your out-of-hospital birth, and then you get hit with your hospital bill. So a lot of people are really freaked out about that.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
And the whole experience of the physical transport itself is really intense and not great. Yeah. So it's fair either way, whether you choose to repeat your out-of-hospital experience or not. Or even if you have a birth plan and you're choosing to birth in the hospital and you wind up with a C-section, you know, a lot of people just choose to repeat the section the next time. But we do know that the evidence suggests that all women, even with 2 previous C-sections, deserve a trial of labor. And where they do that trial of labor is certainly a personal choice. It's a very politically charged issue right now in California about where those births should take place. It's probably it's actually a national concern about should women choosing a trial of labor after a previous C-section have the opportunity to birth out of hospital again or not, and where is the safest place. But, you know, that's a personal choice, and there's a lot that goes into that decision. But you would do it again.
Yeah, I feel like this is the safest place for me. You're amazing.
You know, it's just the connection you have with your midwife. It's that out-of-hospital experience. It's not because I am any particularly, it really has nothing to do with me at all. It really has to do with the type of care you receive when you're with a midwife. And it's that continuity of care. It's the informed decision making. It's the 60-minute prenatals. It's all of that care that goes into it that makes women feel so connected to their midwife. I'd like to think it's me, but really truly isn't.
It's you. You are like this with all your moms. Like you would think we're best friends, right? No, like with every mom, I'm like, oh, I thought it was just me.
But, you know, as your midwife, midwives are really connected to their clients, deeply connected. That's what makes midwifery care so special, is the relationship. And I'm glad to hear that you would do it again. And those that wouldn't do it again, that's okay too. So I want to make sure that that's really clear. Is we don't have this agenda of like, you know, get back at it, and there's no failing. The one thing I wish that some of the language when we do transport to a hospital, I wish some of our hospitals would change their language about a failed out-of-hospital birth or a failed home birth, or using that word. We believe it's really an inappropriate word to be used in terms of birth, because nobody is failing.
Right.
You know, when a mom is planning a hospital birth and she has a C-section, nobody says it was a failed hospital birth.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no failing. It's just birth does its own thing, doesn't it? And he had his own agenda and his own little head position, which was not because it's not your pelvis. We don't believe it to be true to be your pelvis. We believe it to be your little head position. Right? Yeah. And maybe you had your thumb in your mouth.
Oh,
that could have been part of it too. So all about that optimal fetal positioning. And how did you cope with it after? I mean, initially disappointed that you went in. Yeah. Then he was here, and there's a lot of mixed emotion, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of, I mean, I had gone through depression early on in my pregnancy, so I learned to deal with that. So I was very conscious of, after the baby, and especially after it didn't go as planned, of dropping back into that depression and doing like the thing that I needed to do to not get back to a depressed place. I definitely was feeling sad. I was definitely, but I feel like it was normal because you had prepared me for like the baby blues a bit, and so I just like, okay, this is normal. A little teary.
Did breastfeeding out of the gate go fine?
Yeah, it was perfectly.
That was also, that's a plus, because a lot of times with surgery it doesn't go fine. It's difficult sometimes with a surgical birth.
But it went great, and so that was good. I was just very conscious of, I watched a Midwife Monday on postpartum.
Yes.
Postpartum depression. So I was very wanting to not go back into that direction. So I did all my research, I got myself together, and you just have to pick yourself up and keep going, you know, regardless if you do choose the birth center again, or if you do choose a hospital. You have to do what's best for you, and that's what Renee always taught me. You do what's best for you, your family, your body, your well-being, and wherever you feel comfortable, and trust your provider, and
whomever that provider is.
Whoever,
Trust your surgical team. We had a mom that had to have a C-section yesterday, and my comment to her by text was, she was about to go in for her surgery, and it was like, take a deep breath and trust your team.
Yeah.
You know that you've done all your homework, you've done the best you can do, and then there's a part of just surrendering to this. I mean, clearly you can't control the universe. And it's such an important lesson of parenthood, right? In your labor, right? Because then you got this kid, they're completely unreasonable. My husband and I were having lunch yesterday, right? We were having lunch yesterday, and there were these kids, these littles, and my husband said, do you miss that? And I was like, oh man, no, not at all. They're completely unreasonable. They won't listen to anything you say. They won't go to sleep when you want them to go to sleep. I don't miss that one bit. But it prepares you, doesn't it, a little bit of starting to let go.
Oh yeah, the letting go. And I think I didn't let go until after, and I should have let go during.
Well, it's hard to make that transition.
It is.
It's hard to make that transition. But you did. You got through it.
Yeah.
So is there anything you would do differently? Or any advice you have for moms that are going into this birth process and are getting close?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I would do anything differently. I feel like I did everything that I could, and times 10. I was overly prepared. Maybe I should prepare less.
Well, you will the next time. Now that you've done it, you've already done it. Yeah.
But some advice: just trust yourself, trust your body. Your body's going to do what it's supposed to do to keep you and the baby safe. So trust your provider, and lean on your partner, find support.
Does the mom's group help you?
Oh my God, yeah, I'm in a mom's group here, Mondays at 10.
And it's a very consistent group. Does it help to get together?
Oh yes, it definitely helps.
We have a mom in there right now who has almost the same experience.
Yeah. Grab your support team, get together, people that you trust and can be open with, but mom's group is great. Because like you said, we have the same story, so we can connect with each other. And if she's feeling down, I'm there. If I'm feeling down, right? Totally understands.
And none of you knew each other before you had the baby.
No,
right? You make your new friends when you have your babies. Yeah. Awesome. Well, if you have any questions or concerns, of course, participate in the conversation. We'd love to share with you, and if you have some suggestions on what you would have done differently with your birth plan or how your birth outcome was and you want to share, we'd love to hear it. Thanks, Shelby. It's really important. It's really important that we hear stories, and it's important that sometimes we have to take the glamour out of birth. It's like, oh, I had this beautiful birth, and I was in the tub, and the lights were low, and the music was playing.
That was my plan.
Right, that's the plan. And then it's like, the bright lights come on. It's like, we're rolling out, sister. We're going to the hospital. And then suddenly you're in a surgical room, and it's like, oh my gosh, this isn't anything that I wanted it to be. And so we have to kind of demystify birth in that way and know that if you have a good provider, there are plans in place to keep everybody safe. So thank you for sharing your story.
Problem,
it's really important.
No, and I'm able to laugh about it now. That's always one of my mantras. Like one day I'm going to laugh about this.
Let's hope. So I'm glad you're laughing about it. So go check us out on, all the, I don't know, whatever, all the avenues.
Say
Instagram
bye.
okay, bye you guys. See you next week.